welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little different. I do these videos every once in a while, but I feel like I'm going to start doing a segment of just videos where I'm talking to you guys, letting you guys know not so much of just what's going on with my life, but any stories that I share with you guys, they always have a purpose and a reason behind why I decided to tell them. So today I'm going to be talking about something that's a little bit harder for me to talk about than my normal videos, and that's because it's a little more personal and it's something that I haven't really addressed, period. Not necessarily that it needs to be addressed, but I feel like my situation can kind of help someone else, because I know there are a lot of people that have been in similar situations where they feel like they are obligated to someone, or they feel like they have to continue to be around people just because of their history, and that's not necessarily the truth. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about why I had to cut off my best friend of, how long were we friends? Like 5 years maybe? And I know that may not seem like a super long time to some of you, but I'm only 20 years old, and as someone who's moved around a lot, like a lot, that is a really long time. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So first things first, I want to say that there's absolutely no shade intended. I'm not making this video to bash anyone or to make anyone feel bad or to get the sympathy of anyone at all. I'm just simply sharing my experience in the hope that I help somebody else. So this friend, we're going to call her Lindsay. So me and Lindsay met when I moved to a new city. I was about 16 years old, and I got my first job at Texas Roadhouse. Fuck Texas Roadhouse, by the way. Y'all food is good, but the way y'all treat y'all employees is terrible, and that's tea. But anyway, we met there because we started working together, and we just became really close really quickly. It got to the point where, like, we were literally hanging out every single day, and that was my bitch, you know what I'm saying? Fast forward, she ended up graduating high school. She was a little bit older than me, and I ended up graduating after her. We went to the same college, and we spent a lot of time together. And the past couple of years of my life have been the hardest times for me. And I will say, you know, she was there for me during those times, and that really strengthened our friendship, and vice versa. I was very much there for her on the same level that she was for me. So just a little bit of background. I'm a very giving person, like, in all relationships, not just romantically, but with friendships, with family, all of that. I'm a very giving person, and it's not to receive back from people, but when you give to the extent that I do, it's like, how do I word this? Just when you are constantly giving to somebody and you feel like there's no return, then it starts to become like an issue. And so, like I said, I'm a very giving person. And so towards the end of our friendship, I started to find myself in positions where I was always the giver. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because I just genuinely like to give. And like I said, I don't do things to receive things back. But it got to a point where it was like, if I felt like I needed something from her, I didn't get the same energy that I gave to her. And personally, you know, I just started to feel like I was draining myself, because I was always putting myself on the back burner to make sure other people were good. And that wasn't necessarily just with her. It wasn't necessarily just with her. It was with some other friends, because around the same time period, I cut a lot of people off. Within a 6-month time span, I ended my on and off 7-year relationship with my ex-boyfriend. I lost my best friend, like I'm talking about now, and I ended relationships with toxic family members. So it was a time period where it wasn't just her, but just where I was starting to realize that people were taking advantage of me, and people were using me, and it wasn't an easy thing to come to terms with, especially when I consider myself to be such a strong, independent person and someone who prided myself on not needing anyone. But I realized that I was very codependent, and being codependent meant that I was allowing people to treat me a way that I didn't feel like was fair, just for the sake of having people around. And for a long time, I felt our friendship dying, but I didn't want to say anything. I held my tongue, or I would apologize when we would get into arguments, even though I didn't feel like I was in the wrong, just so things would be, you know, not tense, and just so I could have somebody around me again. And that's not okay. It's not okay at all. The kicker for me was during this time frame, like I was really depressed and I was really going through it, and it was a time where my mental health was really at the forefront of my life because it was affecting everything. And I knew at this time that if I did not get my mental health together, I was not gonna make it to see 20 years old. And it was a time where I really needed all the support that I could get, and I didn't feel like I was getting that from her. And it was like I would try to explain myself, and instead of being empathetic or trying to understand my situation, it was like she would try to compare our situations or try to say, if I can deal with this, then you should be able to deal with this. And I didn't feel like that was right. I felt like when somebody comes to you and they're asking for help and they're asking for support, then you should help and you should support them, especially someone that's supposed to be your friend. It's not a time to play whose problem is bigger, you know? And I feel like when people do that, it really just goes to show that they're thinking more about themselves and they're more focused on their own things, which is not a problem because that in and of itself is not a problem. It's nothing wrong with being focused on yourself, but there's a time and a place. And if your friend is venting to you and is trying to let you know how they feel and is trying to ask you for help and support, that's not the time. So we had a conversation, and like I said, the conversation did not go the way that I thought it was. And I just decided that I did not need that type of negativity in my life anymore. And it really hurt me. It honestly was really hard for me to do that because, like I said, this was somebody that I had been friends with for years, and we had basically grown into adulthood together. But the thing about it is, just because you have history with someone does not mean that you are obligated to keep them around. No one in your life has a permanent position. And it's almost like a job. Relationships are jobs, relationships are work. And if you stop showing up to work or if you stop putting in effort, then you get fired. And the same thing applies with relationships, friendships, family, all of that. If you stop putting in the work, if you stop showing up, if you stop being there for people, then your position needs to be like, you're fired. You're fucking fired. And so that's really what had to happen. Like I said, it wasn't an easy thing for me to do, but it was something that had to be done. And in all honesty, it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Not saying this to shame her or to shade her, but I'm saying for me personally, when I cut out all of the negative people in my life, not just her, was when I started to find self-love for myself and find self-validation for myself. Cutting her off helped me to ultimately become more comfortable with myself because I had become the type of person who could not go anywhere by myself, and I had become the type of person who was very insecure and who was very I had very low self-esteem. And she is gorgeous, by the way. My ex-best friend is, I don't want to say ex-best friend, that sounds so like shady, but Lindsay is a gorgeous girl. And all around, I feel like when I started going through my depression, I gained a lot of weight during that time frame, and she was not really supportive of that. Like, she never made me feel good about myself. You know, there were times where she would make comments that were really demeaning and degrading to me, and it would really hurt my feelings. But because we had became the type of friends who, you know, okay, let me say this. I know everybody roasts, everybody picks every once in a while, but when you know that somebody is insecure about something and you make fun of it, then it's not funny. You know, it's a difference between teasing and joking and just being mean. And there were times where I feel like she was just being mean. So, like I said, I'm not just making this video to vent or to rant about that. I'm making this video to let you guys know that if there is somebody in your life who you go around them and you find yourself coming out worse than when you first started talking to them, or you go around them and you find yourself constantly feeling insecure, constantly feeling like drained, then that's a sign that you need to let that person go. Even though you have been friends with them for years, even though you may have been dating them for years, that does not mean that you are obligated to continue to put yourself through that. I think a hard realization that people don't want to admit is that people change. And sometimes it's not even the other person changing, because when I sit back and reflect, I don't know if she changed from when we first became friends or if I changed from when we first became friends. But either way, as life goes on, you are going to grow and you're going to develop, and there are going to be people that you outgrow. A lot of people that I was friends with in elementary school, can't tell you nobody I went to elementary school with. Middle school, high school, I don't really talk to a lot of people that I went to school with when I was younger, because I've outgrown them. And that's not to, like I said, not trying to be shady or shame anybody, but we have different goals and we don't have the same mindset and mentalities, and that's okay. Everybody is not for everybody. I am not going to be able to be friends with everybody, and you're not going to be able to be friends with everybody. You're not going to be able to make everybody happy, and you're not going to be able to always be the person that people can run to, and that's okay. You don't want to put yourself in that position. And like I said, if you find yourself constantly feeling drained or tired or insecure or feeling bad about yourself when you talk to someone, or you're constantly questioning their loyalty, or you're questioning, am I doing more for this person than they do for me? And don't get me wrong, friendships and relationships are based on give and take. So if you're always giving and the other person is always taking, it's going to come to a point where there's going to be some resentment. And I'm not saying that you should do things and give things to people to expect to get them back. But on the same token, you have to know, like, everything isn't going to be physical. For example, let's say that I had a friend and I was the type of person to give her gifts, because that's the way that I show my love to people. I give them gifts, and I give people physical things most of the time. And she was the type of person to give me emotional support. As long as it's a exchange and we both feel like we are benefiting mutually, then everything is okay. It doesn't always have to be, oh, I gave this person a gift just because, so they need to give me gifts just because. If you feel like you're benefiting mutually, then that's okay. But if it's like, I'm giving you these physical gifts, I'm giving you my time, my support, my love, and I don't feel like I'm getting anything back in return, then it's a problem. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about somebody is coming to mind to you as I'm talking to you, I'm just going to give you the advice. Go ahead and cut them off. It's okay. You will move on. Life will go on. It's been some months. It's been about 9 months since I've spoken to Lindsay, and I never thought that I would get to a point where we wouldn't be speaking, and we are, and that's okay, because she's living her life, and I hope that she's doing well, and I hope that she flourishes in everything that she does, and I'm doing my life, and I'm going to try my best to do well and flourish in everything that I do. And so, like I said, I'm making this video just to say it's okay to go separate ways sometimes. So if you have something heavy on your heart, or you need some advice, or you just want to talk about anything, leave in the comments below. I will definitely be sure to try to go back and answer all of the comments. But I just want you guys to know that I love you. If you guys want to see more girl talk videos like this, give this video a thumbs up and comment a red heart down below. And until next time, in order to live your life to its fullest, you must live fearlessly. I love you guys so much. Bye, guys. That'll be a good thumbnail. Stop it. What do you rate it?
I'll probably give it like